up, gang? It's your girl, and my face is back because apparently, for some weird reason, you guys just like looking at my face. So I'm gonna give the people what they want, and we're gonna try this new fun format. And I thought, what better way to test the new format than go over my comic book pool list? Cause there's an awful lot of comics here, and yeah, let's jump into them. So I am really lucky that my comic book shop, the one that I worked at, ironically, is literally like 8 minutes from my house. So I typically pick up all of my comics on Wednesday. However, before that, I was driving almost an hour to pick up comic books. Then I got lucky and got a comic shop literally right down the road from me. So now I can pick up comics every week. Now I'm insane and I have 13 titles on my pool list, but it used to be much larger, believe it or not. I've done really good at scaling down what is on my pool list. I used to be that type of person where I would just buy comics nonstop and I would put them onto my pool list nonstop because as a writer and somebody who wants to get into the comic book industry, I just wanted to be able to support, I guess, like my friends. I wanted to support those people that I hoped to be like one day. But then I realized, Mars, you're not made of infinite money and you need to cut back a little. And at least if I talk about the books, then I feel like I'm supporting the books. I don't know. My head's just crazy and wacky. Now, 13 comic books in a month is a lot, and I know that, and that also doesn't include the multiple comic covers I get for certain series. It also doesn't include variants that I pick up for series that I'm not even sub to, but I just like the cover. It also doesn't include all the number ones that I pick up, because I'm the type of person, especially because I review comics and I want to share all these books with you, I'm the type of person that will pick up number ones of books even if they show just like a small interest to me. So I'll pick those up and then I'll decide later on if I actually want to add them onto my pool list. So that being said, let's jump into the pool list because it is a big one and it's going to take us a little bit to get through it. So first up, we have Agretzko, and if you don't know me, I love Agretzko. I love her with every fiber of my being. If you haven't watched the show, it's on Netflix. There's 2 seasons and a Christmas special, so you should be watching Agretzko. She is literally me when I am in the workplace. Like, I can't even lie about that. We are the same person. I love you. Agretzko is a fun slice of life story. It's a series of one-shots, each issue being its own self-contained series. It's done by a various team of artists and writers, which is really awesome because each one so far, there's only been 2 issues, but each one so far has managed to keep the spirit of Agretzko. Like I said, these are fun little slice of life stories, so even if you haven't read the show or you don't know anything about Agretzko, this is a really fun series for you to pick up. I personally really love it, not only because I love the character, but because it does kind of give me a break from my monthly pools where normally I have to like worry and remember what happened in the last issue. But with Agretzko, that's not the case because like I said, they're all one shot. So I can just go into it, enjoy it. It's my nice little like time of the month for me to relax and laugh and then think about turmoil and life as a millennial. And I've suddenly turned something happy into something very dark. Good job, Mars. So y'all know that Catwoman was going to be on my pool list. Like, I feel like that's a no-brainer. Now, Catwoman was initially done by Joelle Jones as both the writer and the artist. Joelle Jones has kind of taken a step back from the series. She's not doing the art as much. She's not doing the writing as much. Now we have people like Ram V coming in who did These Savage Shores, which is another book you should be reading. It's really good. I like this Catwoman series a lot because it finally feels like she's a character that can stand on her own. I feel like this iteration of Catwoman is just a refreshing take on the character. Joelle Jones, particularly in the beginning issues, she brought really awesome fluid movement. There wasn't a whole lot of dialogue. It was focused a lot on the action of Catwoman, and it was just really nice to see. I also absolutely love the redesign for the character. Like, it is probably my favorite Catwoman outfit of all time. And this is another one of those series where I am insane and I pick up the covers for each issue 90% of the time. There's been a couple uggos, but 90% of the time your girl's copping both. Now I'll admit, this is probably the last issue that I read and I need to do some serious catching up. So I'm gonna make a point of that to catch up on all of Catwoman, but I promise it's good. You should read it. Die is sadly on hiatus. But this wonderful series by Kieran Gillian and Stephanie Hans is definitely one of my favorites. Now, I was an idiot and saw it in the store when it first came out and didn't pick it up because me and Kieran Gillian don't always have the best relationship when it comes to comics. What I mean by that is sometimes I read his books and I just have no idea what is going on. Wicked and Divine. I'm looking at you. But Die is just sensational. It's really awesome. I picked this one up while I was still working at the comic shop / game shop. So getting into a comic that blended both the comic medium and Dungeons and Dragons was just really, really awesome. Kieran Gillian and Stephanie Hands have done an excellent job at creating this wonderful world where it's just fun and it's amazing. For those of you that don't know what Die is the story of, I think it's like 6 teenagers after they've been sucked into a D&D world. So think of it as like Jumanji meets Dungeons and Dragons. You've got these really awesome characters. Each one is wholly unique. You've got the God Keeper. You've got like a Neo technician, and I really love her. You have Ash, who's also known as the Dictator. She's able to, when she speaks, basically influence anybody's thoughts and make them do whatever she wants. You also really just have these awesome moments that break gender stereotypes. Like, for example, Ash in the human world is actually a male, but when he goes into the world of Die, he's actually a female character, and it's just really interesting, and I really like the way that the creative team have managed to pull their character together and merge them as one, and kind of explore the thought of gender sexuality. So Die is really awesome. Currently, the first 2 trades are available in stores, so if you haven't picked up Die, you gotta pick it up. It's by far like the best comic of all of last year. I think it really was. It was that awesome and I loved it that much. Family Tree is a little book by Jeff Lemire and Phil Hester, and unfortunately is one of those series that a lot of people aren't talking about or haven't picked up. Now, I picked it up not only because it's Jeff Lemire and I love literally everything that he's ever done, but I also picked it up mainly because of Phil Hester. Phil Hester did basically like the first 50 issues on the Green Arrow run, and I love his art so much, and it's not something I get to see often enough. When I'm reading Family Tree, I'm always expecting to see little Green Arrow pop up in little panels here and there, and I'm just sad because it's never going to happen. However, Family Tree is about a family. See what I did there? Family Tree is about a family that is experiencing some difficulties because the youngest daughter is in fact turning into a tree, and it's literally a race against the clock to figure out what exactly is going on with their daughter and to help solve it. It's got a lot of really great internal struggle. Jeff Lemire is really good with taking these out-of-world experiences and somehow making them wholly personal. So that's why I really, really love this book. I love Hawkeye. Like, if it wasn't obvious by my first video that I ever made on this channel, I really love Hawkeye. And this is the first Hawkeye series that I actually get to pick up in issues. So I'm very excited about that. Now, Hawkeye Freefall, I don't know if it's actually a mini-series or if it's ongoing, but either way, I love it. It's done by Matthew Rosenberg and Otto Schmidt, and I love this creative team together. It is literally like a match made in heaven. Matthew Rosenberg, who previously worked on Hawkeye in Tales of Suspense, really knows the character and really is able to just get his quirky personality. And then you have Otto Schmidt, who previously worked on Green Arrow, and I just think that that's really ironic that he's now working on both Archer books, and I'm hoping, by the grace of God, that one day maybe we could get a crossover. Otto Schmidt, if you're listening, make some fan art. You do it all the time. Please give me some fan art. But I really love this book because, like I said, the creative team really gets Clint's personal quirkiness, and I love that. He's got some really great interactions with some other characters. Particularly one of my favorites is this moment that he has with Luke Cage where he's talking about how he has arrows and he has to just pick them up because arrows aren't unlimited, man, and dude, do I get that. And like, I love Clint Barton. Like, if that wasn't obvious, I love Trash Man Clint Barton more than anything in the whole world. I have a very special relationship with Vault Comics. I have a couple of their titles on this list, actually. But Vault Comics have been one of those publishers that are just, they're amazing. Like, they're absolutely amazing. They put out hit after hit, and I just love them so much. But we're here to talk about Heist, or Heist: How to Steal a Planet. Now, I actually featured Heist in my new series Roundup. It's a really awesome science fiction story. That being said, I've only read issue 1 and I have all the other issues waiting on my backlog. Heist, or How to Steal a Planet, is just a really refreshing take on the sci-fi genre. It's basically what if Blade Runner met Cowboy Bebop. It's really fun, and the title is exactly what it says. It's about a man and his gang, and he's got all of these really cool and eclectic people that he's currently working with, and their job is to steal an entire planet. Like I said, it's just a really refreshing take on the sci-fi genre, and it's deserving of your read. Heist: How to Steal a Planet. Boom. Speaking of alt comics, and I can't leave this up here long because I'm sure there are kids that watch my channel, but Money Shot is very, it's actually not what you would expect. So take that as you will. But Money Shot from Volt Comics, Tim Seeley's actually on this one, and I'm a huge fan of his writing. Money Shot is actually, it's a really great comic. It's another one of those titles from Volt. It's about these scientists who, in the future, science has been defunded, and so they need to make money somehow. And what better way to make it than intergalactic space porn? So no, this one is not for the kiddies. But it's more than just alien sex. And alien sex and science, you get a pretty good comic. It's science, and it's aliens, and it's sex, and it's actually really smart, and it's really funny, and comics are just a wonderful medium where you can do whatever the hell you want, and I really appreciate that fact, and just mind blown. I love this book. Olympia is another one of those books where, unfortunately, I just don't hear people talking about it, and that makes me sad. I honestly think that this is gonna be the book of, like, 2020. This book is just amazing, beyond compare. Beautiful. Olympia starts off as your average superhero, falls down to Earth, and a kid finds him, and they want to answer all of these questions. Olympia then suddenly takes a dark turn, and it exploits the comic book medium as a business, and it exploits the comic book industry, which I find really interesting as somebody who has both worked as a comic book retailer and somebody that wants to write about comics. It really gives you that dark inside look into what comics are as this happy-go-lucky Jack Kirby-inspired tale is going on. It really is just one of those comedic, heartfelt books that's going to take a little jab at you every time that you think you're starting to have fun. What is this motion you are doing, Mars? Stop! But Olympia, it's just... I'm in the process, actually, of doing an entire thought piece on what Olympia means as a comic book and how it's twisting the comic book medium and genre. There's not a lot of times where a comic can leave me speechless, but this was one of those books because I picked it up because I was like, oh, this is going to be a fun adventure of a kid on a journey, and it's like Stranger Things, and it's that whole genre that the medium is completely overdoing, but then it takes a super nosedive, and you're just met with just silence and thoughts, and it just tears at your heartstrings. If there's one book on this list that you have to pick up that you didn't either know about before, or you didn't think about, or you didn't have on your pool, or didn't even know existed, Olympia is going to be that one. I really, really love this book. I feel like everybody's been talking about this book, and that's a good thing. Something is Killing the Children is by James Tinian IV. It's also by Werther Dell'Edera. It's another book that I featured in my new series roundup, which I'll include in the description below as well. If you are a fan of Stranger Things at all, reading this book is a no-brainer. The title is exactly what it says. Something is killing the children, and it's big and it's scary and nobody believes that it exists, and it's actually up to a bunch of teenagers to stop it and to stop these killings going on in this small town. Horror comics, at least to me, are very few and far between when it comes to finding an actual good one, but Something is Killing the Children actually does that particularly well. Now, I had mentioned this in my new series roundup, but I really appreciate these gorgeous, like, splash pages that are just all text with the title on it. It's something where it hits you a couple pages into it, and it makes you think, and it makes you question everything that you're reading, and it's just a really great on-brand horror book. And again, if you're a fan of Stranger Things, there's a lot of moments in this book where I kind of look at Stranger Things and I'm like, I see what you did there. I totally see what you did. Next up on the list, we're getting there. We're slowly getting there. But we have SFSX, otherwise known as Safe Sex. I promise I don't only read comics about sex. SFSX is really, really awesome. It's another one of my favorites that I really look forward to reading each and every month. It's basically this dystopian universe where fun sex is banned. fun sex. How do you define what fun sex is? Fun sex is banned. It's basically you're only copulating for the sake of having children, and every time you do, you have to lug it into this little wristwatch. And those people that don't, I guess, believe in that aren't going to take it, and they start a rebellion and they start fighting back against it. But what is really important to SFSX to me, kind of like Die, is that it breaks those gender stereotypes. It breaks the sexuality stereotypes. We see transgenders, we see bi, we see gay, we see lesbian. I really, really like that, and it's just a nice book, and I really like it. It's one of those books that also make you think, and I really like those books that kind of break the mold and break what I'm thinking. I also like that it's another take on the dystopian genre, because we always see these dystopian takes, and they sometimes always feel like the same thing over and over and over and over again. But I feel like this title in particular really breaks the mold. The first trade should be coming out soon, so you should definitely catch up on that when it hits stores. Suicide Squad! I really love Suicide Squad. And no, I don't mean that awful, ridiculous, horrible movie. But Suicide Squad by Tom Taylor is a book that I was actually really, really looking forward to, because Tom Taylor is also known for his work on All New Wolverine and his work on the Injustice Gods Among Us series, that latter one being the more important one, because Tom Taylor has already proved that he's really great at handling these large groups. So Tom Taylor actually did a really great job with this iteration of Suicide Squad. Rather than taking the normal squad that we're used to, normally accumulating to like Harley Quinn and Deadshot and a couple other villains, he actually did that, but then he also went out and created his own, I guess, squad? I don't know what else to call them. But he went and created a cast of all new characters. There's like 8 or 9 of them. They range in all shapes, colors, sexualities, you name it. And I absolutely love them. There's this character that was literally made for me. And just thinking about her makes me I love her so much. But Tom Taylor, if anything happens to her, I'm going to be very upset. And that is the downfall of this book, is that there's a lot of really great and likable characters. And like Suicide Squad, I know that they're not gonna last, and that makes me a very sad boy, and I don't want to think about it. But if you hurt her, I swear to God. Also, it's worth noting that Bruno Redondo, who's doing the art, has probably drawn my absolute favorite version of Deadshot ever. And Mars, your bisexuality is showing, and I don't care, because I love Deadshot. And if I mention the scumbag boyfriend army in another video, you guys might actually kill me. But he is also a prominent member of the scumbag boyfriend army. I love bad boys. I love the bad boys. Now, if you can't tell by my shirt, I don't know if you can see that, but your girl is Star Wars trash. And usually your girl is only Star Wars trash in a new movie, and I thought that this Star Wars trashness would die out with Rise of Skywalker and how awful it was.
Somehow Palpatine returned.
But it's still going, and it's all due in part to Greg Pak. And thank you. Star Wars stories, ever since Marvel took over, are just absolutely amazing. Darth Vader stories, however, they're on another tier. They are just so good. I really like the Darth Vader series because they allow us to explore this already complicated character, and it gives us more that we'd only wish that we had seen in previous stories. However, we're here to talk about this Darth Vader series, so let's talk about this Darth Vader series. Now, this one in particular is actually set in between Empire Strikes Back and The Return of the Jedi. Now, this one in particular is really interesting. So Darth Vader, for the first time, I guess, actually travels back to Coruscant. He's getting all these feelings about Padme? How did I just say that? He's got all these feelings about Padme, and he's just trying to reconcile them and deal with them the way that any Darth Lord of the Sith would do. But when he finally comes upon an intruder who looks just like Padme, it literally throws everything he knew out the window, and it's actually revealed, I'm gonna spoil it because I can, it's actually revealed in the second issue that the Padme lookalike is actually Sabe from Phantom Menace. One of my favorite Star Wars movies, fight me. But it is actually Sabe, and it really adds this extra layer because obviously I don't think Vader is going to kill her, at least not yet. It's going to add for some really great internal dialogue, not only from him, but also the external relationship between Sabe and him also trying to deal with the fact that this lady looks just like Padme and he's literally going insane. And I love internal angst, but it's really awesome. It captures the spirit of Star Wars, captures the spirit of Darth Vader. We get some really, really nice scenes of throwbacks and callbacks to previous scenes that we saw in the prequels, which makes me cry every time I see them. If you're a Star Wars fan or a Darth Vader fan, then like there's literally no reason for you not to pick up the series. Like there's absolutely no reason. Pick it up. Go to your shop. Do it. So we've come to the last little book on the list, and it's actually the newest one on my pull list, so it's kind of fitting. Strange Adventures. If you guys know me, you know I'm a Tom King shill, and I say it loud and proud, and now it's captured on video for the whole world to see. I loved his Batman. I loved his Mr. Miracle, and now I love his Strange Adventures. But the reason why I love Tom King so much is because he really has this deeper love for comics and for the medium. He has this impactful way of taking characters that I normally wouldn't care about or normally wouldn't know or whatever, and he takes them and he exploits them and he makes me care about them and he makes me interested and invested in their lore. And that's the one thing about him that I really love. Now, Strange Adventures is about Adam Strange, which is a character that I'm sure I've heard about in the past, but I didn't care about until this new series. But it is really awesome. It's got this nice blend of sci-fi and real life angst, PTSD. There's two artists on this book, actually. You got Mitch Gerads, who was on the previous Mr. Miracle run with Tom King, and then you have Doc Shaner. And I really like the fact that they went ahead and did two artists, because you've got Mitch Gerads, who does the real world and the present Adam Strange stuff, and then you have Doc Shaner, who does this more sci-fi and fantasy-esque what life was like on this planet with Adam Strange. And I really, really like that, and I think it's just going to be one of those books that, like Mr. Miracle, people are going to be talking about for ages. I know it's already been sold out in a lot of shops. The first issue just came out. So if you hadn't had a chance to pick up Adam Strange, now is the time to do it. Now, I am picking up all of the series. However, that being said, I also am that type of person that thinks that Tom King stories actually read better in trade. So even if you don't pick it up now, at least when it's compiled, I think you should pick it up, because it is going to be one of those stories like Mr. Miracle that I feel like we're going to be talking about forever and ever and ever and ever. So that's it. We did it. That is my comic book pull list. 13 titles, and I'm insane. I think we've established that fact. But it's not really insanity. I really love comics, and I feel like that's okay. If I'm doing it, again, if you're doing it for the comics, then it makes everything okay. But this list is always changing. I'm not kidding. It actually just changed last week. I removed a couple pools with the Dawn of X titles. So this list is always changing. So I feel like if I get a good response from you guys, which I'm sure I will, because you guys are just so supportive of what I do here. But I think this is something I would like to continue regularly, maybe doing it every couple of months. Also, with showing my face, I might be doing some more fun things for you guys. I did just hit 100 subscribers on the YouTube channel, so thank you all for that. But I was thinking with hitting 100 subscribers, maybe I would do like a fun comic Q&A. But as always, thank you for watching my videos and looking at my face and listening to me talk about comics for, my clock over there says 29 minutes, but I'm sure with all the editing, it's not going to be that long. But you guys are awesome. You know that. So, as always,